Well, who's the hottie on the cover? Anyone you know? Look at his biceps. I could just stare at his biceps all day. I don't really need.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't ask for much. Yeah. Okay, my husband is flexing now, showing off his biceps. Yeah, in there somewhere.
Ooh.
Leaving. Okay, you're good.
I know. He's leaving me now. Want me to sign on the dotted line? On the divorce paper? Hi everyone, welcome to Desire and Dialogue. My name is Mihwa Lee. I'm a steamy romance author and I am joined here today by Stacey Wilk. Stacey has been writing since 2013 and has released 28 contemporary novels. So please welcome Stacey. Hi Stacey. Hi, nice to see you again.
Good to see you again.
We met each other in Denver.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and it's been a while, but since then you've been busy. You released a new romance in your Brotherhood Protectors World series called Harlan Unleashed. It came out on June 18th or 28th.
18th, yeah, you got it. Yep.
It sounds fantastic. I mean, any group of men better than Navy SEALs is retired Navy SEAls, right? Because they're just as hot but have more time to spend with you.
Right.
Off and they're like, oh no, don't get near this woman, she's mine.
That's right. I'll protect her at all costs.
Yeah, so that's basically what the book is about. It seems like it's about this hot dude protecting a woman that he meets in Hawaii.
He does. He meets in Hawaii. So it's a little bit of that, like, I'd say insta lust, not exactly insta love. So they've never met before. And he's really there to evacuate her because a volcano has erupted. But she's on the run because someone has tried to murder her. And she decides she needs a little protection.
Poor woman. A volcano and on the run.
Yeah. Yeah.
What made you decide to set this in Hawaii?
Well, it's actually a group project, believe it or not. So there are other authors that are part of this Brotherhood Protector world. And as a group, we decided to locate it in Hawaii.
And of course, you have to go there in the name of research and meet with Navy SEALs.
Yes.
Make sure they look good underneath.
Underneath that uniform.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we write romance.
Exactly. I write the fantasy for sure. Yeah.
There's those little perks.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration behind the Navy SEAL?
Well,
was that a group decision as well?
It is. The publisher had a few requirements. So one of them is they have to be former military. And the other requirement is that because it's 4 other authors, so the 5 men must show up working in the Brotherhood as a team. So then we get together as a group and collaborate on the backstory of this team. So we decided, what branch of military would we want them to be from. So we picked Navy SEALs and that they were retiring and that they were going to attend a retirement party in Hawaii because we needed a reason for them to be there. And then pretty much from there, everybody takes their story into their own direction. So, they each have their own retired Navy SEAL who is on this island the time that the volcano was erupting. So the time frame is everyone's time frame in this book is the same.
That sounds really interesting.
It's fun and the readers get a kick out of it because they get to see each other's characters. But each book is a standalone. So if you want to read all 5, you can, and if you don't, you don't have to.
What were some of the challenges and perks about collaborating with other authors?
Well, so let's see. Perks is you can get feedback and you have people to brainstorm with and people to ask questions to and get opinions from because you're an automatic group. So that's a great perk. Drawbacks to collaboration is sometimes there's too many chefs in the kitchen. And you have to learn to pick your battles because you can't have them all.
Especially when, as authors, we work alone. We are hiding in a room somewhere in our own heads, and all of a sudden to have to talk to other people.
Yeah.
Never mind working on a project together.
Exactly.
It's a culture shock.
Exactly. Total culture shock. Exactly.
What made you decide to write contemporary romance as opposed to other genre?
Probably because what I really enjoy writing is women at a crossroads in their life. So I tend to write a slightly older heroine, and she's faced with the dilemma of what do I do now with, with my situation. And then, I like having the guy in there. So it's really what made it come together for me that way. And maybe, all the books I read as a teenager. So, all the Danielle Steele.
So your stories are very relatable.
I get that feedback from my readers that they can relate to these women if you're at that point in your life, if you're, probably 35 plus, then you understand it a little bit better than if you're the 18 to 24-year-old group.
What was the first book you remember reading that really touched you, that you could relate to, even made you cry?
Ooh. Oh, that's a toughie. I mean, I have really been a voracious reader my whole life, so it's terrible. I couldn't even tell you.
Danielle Steele?
Well, it's funny because obviously I liked her, and then I read so many of hers, they sort of became kind of predictable, so I stopped reading her. Maybe Mary Higgins Clark, because she was an early favorite of mine. I do like the mystery element, so I do tend to throw that in too whenever I can. So I would say maybe Where Are the Children? I read that a long time ago. That would certainly have been an early one that created a response in me. So
what is the biggest compliment a reader could give you?
boy, that is a good question. Honestly, if they enjoyed my book and reach out and tell me that in and of itself is a complete and total honor. But recently I was very fortunate to have a reader read one of my books where the heroine has had to deal with domestic violence. And the reader was also a domestic violence survivor. And she said to me that based on the heroine's choices to be strong, she felt like she could be strong too. And I could not ask for a better compliment. That is the highest truthful compliment. I almost cried, honestly, when she said that to me. It was lovely.
I have a lump in my throat just hearing that. Oh, that is lovely.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I was very honored. It's not even a big enough word, truthfully.
Is that the legacy you want to leave? Helping others and
absolutely. If I can help or inspire someone to, go after their own dreams, or just honestly give a woman an opportunity to escape the real life for an hour or two, whatever, because we know how complicated the world can be, and sometimes we need to get away from it. So I feel blessed that I can offer that, and people choose to read me when they could read a million other books.
I get the feeling all your female characters are strong.
Yeah.
And independent.
Yes. Even if they don't know it, they are.
That's often true, isn't it? Because I don't know if men are this way, but I know that the women I know, myself included, we are always underestimating ourselves.
Yes.
And belittling ourselves.
Yes.
If not externally, then at least in our heads.
Yeah.
Good to see ourselves being reflected in that way.
Exactly. And hopefully I can do that for women, that they can see themselves and know they're strong too, because we all are. Like you said, we just have to maybe quiet that noise in our head a little bit.
What is the steam level for your novels?
It's definitely steamy. It's funny because it all started with my traditional publisher when we started working on the very first book together, and she was like, "Can you make this hotter?" And I said, all right. So, I invite everyone into the bedroom, but I do focus on the emotion more than the play-by-play. So I challenge myself to write the sex scene without actually saying what we're doing as much as possible, even though you know exactly what we're doing. And, everybody gets that happy ending, but
well, the mechanics don't vary very much.
Exactly.
We all have the same parts.
Exactly. So you're going to get bored reading that anyway, right? So I try to focus on the emotion.
Yeah, and I think that's what readers are looking for most of the time anyways. They want the emotional intensity while reading these steamy scenes, and then they can visualize what is going on. Because everyone does it the same way.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I joke about that all the time, that I don't write real life sex. You don't need me to tell you what real life sex is. Right? We all know how it goes. So I write the fantasy, right?
Are you done yet?
Oh my God.
That's just me with my boyfriend. My husband is perfect.
Oh my God.
So the challenge is actually getting that emotional aspect of this very primitive, primal, sweaty, sometimes kind of filthy.
That's right. Not graceful in any way. Exactly. Exactly.
Drawing that emotion out of that image, that is a talent, that is a skill, right? And making it fresh.
Yes, it definitely takes practice. So you do have to, I think you have to work on it, because writing emotion isn't easy. So when you're focusing on that and not the part that we all understand, put your hand here, put your mouth there type of thing, that does become the challenge. How do I write this, and how do I keep it fresh so that it's different for this couple versus this couple, which I also think is why I lean heavy into the emotion, because each couple has their own journey and they're their own characters. So I can focus on that for them. So like in Harlan Unleashed, I play on the fact that she doesn't like to talk during sex. So I make that part of that arc for her, that as she falls for this man, she becomes more open in bed. Like, so she's talking more. So
We're talking about dirty talk,
yes, dirty talk,
right?
but not too dirty.
Not too
Dirty, but not too dirty.
but emotional.
Emotional dirty talk.
Yeah, yeah, emotional dirty talk.
Exactly.
Not do we need milk from the grocery store, honey?
Right, exactly. Could you move your head to the right? I'm watching TV.
Now, you've won the New Jersey Romance Writers Golden Leaf Award in 2022 for Taking Root.
Yes.
Could you tell me a little bit about that book?
Sure, absolutely. It's the first book in my hometown series. And in that book, I have, again, a heroine coming. She's coming back home to Candlewood Falls, which is the town. And she is also at a crossroads in her life where she's starting over. She really wants to purchase her grandmother's alpaca farm. And there is a mystery going on because our hero was wrongly accused of murdering someone from town. And he comes in and out of town secretly. Nobody really knows. But this one night, he gets in an accident and it ends up near her house. So they rekindle this old flame and someone doesn't want them together now. So they're trying to chase them out of town and to really chase him out of town. So then it's that element of who's after them.
Who's after them, and how can I find them so that I can keep this man
Exactly.
with me?
Exactly. Because if they can't figure it out, then they won't have their chance to be together. Because it definitely gets, like, I do try to ramp that conflict up for them. So I don't make it easy on them at all.
Yeah, it sounds like a very high tension, high stakes,
Yeah.
intense book.
Action packed.
Yeah. So what kind of research goes into doing something like that? I mean, same as your new book, Harlan Unleashed, and this one, quite action packed.
Well, usually a lot of research. It's funny, like, I know nothing about being a Navy SEAL, so I have to go and research what is it like to be a Navy SEAL? What do they go through? What's the training? So I can develop what the character is. And then it's funny because you can do hours and hours of research for 2 lines in the book. But if I don't know what their lives are like, then I have to research everything I can. Like, I have a book where the guy is a race car driver. I knew nothing about race cars. I have a book where they chase tornadoes. I knew nothing about meteorology or being a storm chaser. And I have another book where they're running from a wildfire. So I had to learn what it was to be a wildland firefighter because that's what my hero is. So I read books, I listen to interviews, I talk to people if I can, I watch videos. Thank God for the internet, honestly.
Yeah. And do you sometimes kick yourself going, why did I put wildfire in there?
Yes, many times, especially chasing tornadoes. I am not a science gal, as you read in my bio, right? So I am not a science gal. So now
she's talking about writing a romance novel instead of studying in her biology class.
Yes, exactly.
Go ahead.
Right. So from an early age, I had no interest in science. So now learning about tornadoes, I had to learn about how a tornado works and how a tornado operates and all this sciencey stuff because my hero was a meteorologist and my heroine was a storm chaser. So they would know the behavior of tornadoes and what would be dangerous and what would be worth the risk and the patterns and the weather that creates a tornado. And that was me going, what in the world was I thinking?
Now, how accurate do your readers expect you to be in those situations?
I think there's always some level of accuracy they're looking for. And I know if you write something and someone knows you're wrong, they're going to call you out on it. If they are the expert in that field, they definitely will call you out on it. So I try to be as accurate as I can. Of course, you still sometimes have to take creative liberties because you want your story to be your story. So as long as it's a probable, very, or possible, very possible thing, then, I'm like, all right, it happened once somewhere in the world, good enough.
I sometimes wish there could be a hotline with, some kind of Jeopardy winner on the other end where I can just call up and go, hey, can you tell me the answer?
Yeah.
Because there are some things that we cannot research even on, website.
Exactly.
Right?
If you can talk to an expert in the field, then that's awesome because then they also give you little tidbits that you might not know. Like I like to ask someone like, what's a typical day at work like for you? Because they might give you that little nugget that I was interviewing a firefighter and he was the one that told me it's not like you see it on TV. When you go into a building, you can't see anything. It's all black in front of you. So they have this rope or a hose or something that's not going to burn, and they follow on that and they talk to each other.
Oh.
So when I wrote a book where the firefighter was trapped in a fire, went into a fire to get the heroin out, I used a lot of that because that's what's really going on, which I didn't know you couldn't see. You can't.
And that adds another element and depth to your story because it's an interesting factoid that we don't know about. It's an introduction to a world
Yeah.
that we have no idea of.
Right, like you said, that hotline. I would love that hotline. I would love that.
Okay, get it started. I'm waiting. So on that note, how important are reviews for you, in your opinion?
You want my honest opinion about this?
Yes.
I know we live in a world where reviews are a thing now for everything, but truthfully, I don't think that reviews for art are all that beneficial because art is subjective. So what I like, you might not like. What you like, I might not like. And, you know, going up there and leaving a review for a book or music or movies or physical art, each person is bringing their entire life experience to that moment, and that affects how you absorb that art form. So there's reasons why a reader might not like a book outside of the mechanics, but I'm not a fan.
As a new author starting out, there's a lot of emphasis on getting reviews, and there's so many services to gain more reviews. But how much do reviews impact the bottom line, on the sales?
Not at all.
I feel like not much. Yeah.
I don't think so either. I really don't. Taking Root, the book we were just talking about that won the award, also had received a Crown Heart review from In Detailed magazine, which is an industry magazine, or was, because they've closed up shop now. I can tell you that did not sell me a single book. And it was 4.5 stars, and they raved about the book. They had plenty of visibility, did not push the needle on my sales, in any significant way. So, I mean, like anything, I suppose if you're that person who gets the bad review, that might send everybody flying if you go viral, because let me see what it's all about. But I don't want to be known for being the bad author. So, and you need reviews because we live in this world that everything is reviewed. So it's a bit of a catch-22. You really need them. At the same time, I don't think that they're effective, honestly, and I don't think they should exist for art. I just don't.
In terms of marketing and promotions, what would you say has worked best for you personally?
For me, totally human-centered marketing, one-on-one, getting to interact with my readers, their word of mouth. That has been hands down for me the best way to do it.
And that sounds like the best kind of fans you would have.
They're fabulous.
They're loyal, they're devout. Yeah.
Yes, my committed readers are fabulous to me. So it's a much slower process to build a readership because you're doing it one reader at a time. But they're amazing. So I'm super grateful for them.
What are some of the common traps for new authors?
Marketing traps. I would say paying for marketing before you have a 3-book series. I would stay away from giving your first book away for free without there being follow-up with other books, because you don't have read through, so you don't have an opportunity to make money on the read through. I would hesitate to pay people who promise that they will send you viral and sell you thousands and change your life, because usually that's too good to be true. So if it sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
So how has the romance genre and the industry changed since you first started 11 years ago?
Oh, a tremendous amount, really. With self-publishing, that has been the biggest change, I would say, is everybody's in. I think that how we reach readers is different, and we certainly now have the additional subgenres of like dark romance and what's that romantasy thing that's going on?
Omegaverse and
exactly. So that was not in existence before.
So is there much more competition, or is that competition drawing more people in so it benefits everyone?
Well, I think I don't have that view that everybody benefits. I do think we compete for each other's readers. It doesn't mean they can't read multiple authors, obviously, but there's only so much buying power a person has. Let's face it. Most people live on a budget. So they can't just buy from every author they love. And the more authors that are in the pool, the harder it is for them to choose. So I do feel like, we, as much as we can help each other and support each other and encourage each other and educate each other, we are still each other's competition. it can't be helped. And that's okay, I guess. It's the way it goes.
So do you still read in your own genre or do you read other genres?
I tend to read out of my genre because if I read in my genre, I want to edit it usually.
Occupational hazard.
Exactly. Occupational hazard. Exactly. So outside of my genre, I tend to do less of that. So I read a lot of mystery and thrillers and true crime, memoir, that kind of stuff.
And what do you look for when you read?
Goodness, not to edit it. That's the first thing is I don't want to edit it. So I want to be drawn in immediately. That's how I write. We hit the ground running. I want to hit the ground running when I'm reading too. So I don't want long drawn out, please do not put backstory in the front of your book, those types of things. And so I have a very short window. If you don't catch me right away, I usually move on. So
Yeah, my attention span is about 30 seconds.
right, my attention span is about 30 pages.
Oh, not bad, not bad.
So I
Yeah.
try to give you some leeway.
So has this writing journey been a self-discovery for you? Have you learned something new about yourself?
Oh my goodness. I would say, yeah, for sure. And gosh, if I'm not learning about myself as well as everything else, I mean, I've learned that I have a way thicker skin than I thought I did. And, I learned that when there's no question, if you put your mind to it, you can do it. I've learned that I'm not always, well, I probably knew this anyway, but I'm not always the most patient of people. And that, this industry will sometimes bring that out in me.
Well, you're self-aware, you have an insight.
Yeah, but I try. Makes it better for everybody else.
And when did you first learn that language had power?
Oh, I would say when I could speak. Language has always had power. Always. I'm a very outgoing. I'm a very outgoing introvert, so it's a bit of a oxymoron. But so for me, your voice is always your power, and you need to know how to advocate for yourself and understand the things that you need and know how to ask for them. So your voice, I've had to learn how to do that constructively because as a kid and a teenager and a young adult, that didn't always go well. Your voice, whether it's written or verbal, is all your power.
And you're somewhat unique because you started writing at the age of 6.
Yeah.
That's when kids usually start learning to write, not actually write a story.
Yeah, I can't tell
So
you
you've
how good
always
the
had that
story
special-
was, but I can tell you I wrote it. It was about a lemonade stand.
Do you remember what it was about? Oh,
That's what it was called.
Excellent.
Lemonade
Yeah.
stand. Yep.
so you wrote about what you knew.
Right, exactly. I knew exactly what I knew about a lemonade stand. I wrote it down.
It was probably about marketing and
Right, exactly. How to sell
the supply and demand,
Exactly.
profit margins, that sort of thing. And would you ever quit writing?
Maybe.
What would make you quit writing?
Well, let me put it this way. I might quit publishing. I would probably never quit writing. So, because I've always written something. I still keep a journal. So I always write.
Wow, you keep a journal.
I do.
That's impressive. Journaling is usually the first thing that goes out the window for me when I'm busy.
Really,
Started?
it's very much a self-help tool for me. So it's a great way to quiet my mind, especially if I'm struggling to focus or find the creative edge. It just gets all that noise out of my head onto the page, and then I can sit down and write or get on with my day. So I do a lot of free writing, or I'll do gratitude. I'll make a list of things I'm grateful for in that moment, so that again I can focus on what I have and not what I don't have, and then I can ground and get back to work.
What a wonderful thing to publish down the road. Stacey Wilk's journal.
Oh no.
The journey of a writer.
No, not for other people to see. No.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah, no. My eyes only.
So you mentioned the oxymoron of being extrovert, introvert, and I find that writing is somewhat similar. It can be exhausting or energizing,
Yes.
or both at the same time. Which way does it lean for you?
It probably depends on where I am in the process of the book. So I love plotting and brainstorming, and I can do that all day, every day, and never run out of energy for that. The beginning of the first draft, I am a plotter, so I outline as well. But when I sit down to write the first draft, and we're at the very beginning, so maybe the first 10, 15,000 words, that's draining for me. I feel like it's an effort to pull every single word out. So once the book gets rolling, then I can feel better about it. But that to me is probably the most draining part of writing. The marketing is extremely draining. That's very draining.
So you've both traditionally and self-published, right? What do you prefer? Do you have a preference?
It's such a good question. There are perks to both. What I like about traditionally published, especially for a new author, if they're with any press, small press or whatever, it really teaches you about the publishing process, and it slows you down, before you actually hit the publish button. So you learn about developmental editing, and you learn about copy editing and the whole process, the galley, what that should look like. And so that elongates your publishing process, which I think is important for new authors to experience. Of course, you have zero control, so that's the downside. And sometimes, it doesn't work in your favor. You can get a cover you don't like. Your publisher can pick a price point that maybe isn't effective. They certainly don't market, so you're still forced to do all of that, and you make the smallest amount of royalties. Self-publishing, of course, you have all the control in the world. You get to pick everything, but at the same time, I feel like this is where quality can come into question, because I don't have to hire a cover artist. And I don't mean me personally, because I hire a cover artist, but the new author, let's say, who doesn't hire a cover artist but makes her cover on Canva and says, look, I have a cover, and doesn't invest in editing, because yes, developmental editing is expensive, but they also don't have critique partners because they didn't do a traditional route. They just sit by themselves and write a book and don't attend workshops and learn their craft, and then they stick it through Grammarly and hit the publish button. I am not a proponent of that end of it, but you get all the control in the world. So I get to decide what the cover looks like, how much the book is going to cost, when I put it on sale, how long I'm going to put it on sale for, and I get to determine that price point. And of course, I make the largest amount of royalty. So I also do all of the work, because I have to make sure that my editing lines up, because I pay for editing. I pay a cover artist. I buy my own ISBNs. So I'm doing all of that piece that the traditional publisher does, as well as running a business, which you're doing no matter what kind of publishing you are. But if craft is not your first concern, then I guess self-publish. And if craft is, you might want to think about a traditional publisher early on for the experience.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Self-publishing is capital intensive, because you sort of do get what you pay for, unfortunately. And it's not cheap to hire professional editors with experience, especially in genre like historical romance,
Right.
Where they have to have certain knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
even if I did spend the money for cover artists, for example, and they have great reviews, they might not deliver for me personally.
True.
Or they could be fraudulent because I don't have the contact I need as a new writer. So I feel like the mistakes I made, in addition to what you said, I think you followed me around and watched me publish my first book.
Everything is a learning experience. Like, everybody starts at the same place, right? We all don't know what we don't know. I think for somebody like me, I came up in this business when self-publishing wasn't an option. I joined the New Jersey Romance Writers in like 2007 or 2008, something like that. So I wrote 3 books that were never published and will never be published, because that's how I learned first. Self-publishing came along, and there's nobody telling you need to know your craft. And I don't think readers know whether or not you know your craft, or care, truthfully, whether or not you know your craft, which is great, I guess, because then you don't have to learn your craft. But because for me, writing is art. It's like, I can't go perform on Carnegie Hall stage trying to play the violin if I didn't learn how to play the violin. You wouldn't even dream of doing that, right? You would take lessons and practice and, go to an open mic night. I don't know what you would do. I don't play the violin. But so I feel like self-publishing sometimes puts the cart before the horse.
But on the other hand, if you have a really strong dick and you can hold stuff with it, and then people will flock to you to Carnegie Hall because it's unique, it's funny, and it's something nobody's done before. So
all comes down to that.
You never know.
All comes down to that.
I mean,
What
if I
else
had
is
a
there?
talent of like swinging my tassel on my nipple or something,
Right?
I mean,
Listen, if you got a good dance
it's-
going on, what the hell, right?
So you may never get traditionally published with that talent, but you may find your
But
audience.
exactly, you'll find your audience, and you're happy, and they're happy, and you look good.
Yeah, you thought something intelligent was going to come out of this mouth, but no.
Bring it all, girl. Bring it all.
If you could tell your young writer self before you gained this much experience, what would it be? What would have made life easier?
Oh, such a good question. Me as a newbie adult writer, I would probably
Mm-hmm.
tell myself it's a very long journey. It's a slow moving journey, so get used to that. And and there's lots of ups and downs, so get used to that too. Um, but and be better about celebrating the small wins because that's something I practice.
Mm-hmm.
I have to practice. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, enjoy the small wins.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you have to know how to write a book and you have to be a master marketer too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy business at all.
No. So, do people say to you, "Oh, it must be nice to have a vacation or sit around right all day with
Yes,
your feet up"?
yes, they do. Yes, they do. And they always have an idea
And
for me as well. I'm like, you write it. Go ahead. Let me know how that goes for you.
now, do your family and friends read your books?
I have some friends who read my books. My children are not my demographic, and neither is my husband. So,
And you don't want them to be. I don't know how old your children are, but mine are still teenagers, so I don't want them reading my what's going on through my head.
right. I mean, my kids are young adults. They're 24 and 22, but
Okay. Yeah.
um, I don't really want them reading it anyway.
How do your friends react to your steamy scenes?
Um, it's funny because sometimes they'll say something like, I forget I'm reading you until I read either a steamy scene or I might have said something in the book that sounds like me.
Oh,
And
oh
then
yeah,
they're like, then I remember I'm reading you. So I appreciate that they forget because I really don't want any of my
yeah,
friends to be like, is that what you and your hubby do? That kind of, I don't need none of
yeah.
that.
But that is a huge compliment, isn't it? They're so drawn in by your story that they forget
It is a
all
compliment.
about
Yes,
who's
it
behind
is.
it.
It
Yeah,
is. No, I'm
yeah.
glad. I'm glad.
Because you've created a new world for them
That is the
that they
goal
don't
each and every
recognize.
time.
Do you write what you fantasize about?
Yeah, I
How
suppose.
do
I
you?
mean,
Yeah.
that like that perfect romance, right? There isn't it's not real life where they get each other and they can forgive each other for probably things people would not forgive in the real world and um sex without a cleanup scene. So,
Mm,
right?
yeah. There are no dishes piling up.
Exactly. No one's worrying about the dishes or the laundry or the grocery shopping. There's none of
Yeah.
that going on.
Did you marry a guy like your male leads?
Nope. Nope.
Did you marry cinnamon roll? What would your trope be for your romance
Oh,
with your husband?
that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe in some ways we're a
Enemies,
little bit of an
jealous.
opposites attract, maybe. I would
Okay.
think that maybe that's a little bit more like he's very thought out and calm and not emotional. And, he's like he's definitely my rock. And then I'm this person,
Mm-hmm.
this person, the Tasmanian devil. He's very well thought out about everything. So I don't always write that guy. Sometimes, like, say my race car driver is going to be impulsive and that kind of thing. So it
Mm-hmm.
definitely depends on what else is going on in my character's life that makes him
Mm-hmm.
who he is. My husband is, yeah, your typical guy's guy. Like, he doesn't, he's handy and can wear flannel shirts and blue jeans, but can also put a suit on and have an intelligent conversation. And
You should put him in your books. He sounds great.
yeah, it's funny. I can't. It's like I have to keep that separate. He's all
Do you
mine.
talk to
Nobody
him?
can have him but me.
No.
I don't share well.
You gave lots of great advice so far about writing process, getting started. Is there any other advice you would like to give for a newbie author starting out?
Just keep going. Just keep doing it and show up every day, right? Every single day.
And resilience pays off,
It does. It really
usually.
does.
At least if it doesn't, then have fun doing it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What is the best money you've spent as a writer?
Ooh, that's a good question. What is the best money I have spent as a writer?
Mhm.
I would say attending reader conferences is
Oh,
definitely
really?
the best money I've spent as an author.
Yeah.
And of
In
course
what
the
way are they
gazillion
the
workshops
best?
I attended to learn my craft. But other than that, yeah,
Hmm.
reader conferences.
Yeah. So in terms of connecting with readers or
Yes.
finding new readership?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting to meet readers is so exciting and so much fun.
Hmm.
And I love it. I love meeting readers. I love talking to readers about books, mine or whoever's. All, of course, more exciting if they've read me. But I think that's fabulous to really get to meet readers. I love meeting readers. It's awesome.
And I think in this social media world, people are sort of hungry for that, human contact.
Yes, I agree.
Right.
I agree. It's so much nicer to have a face-to-face conversation with someone than just, you know, a comment on your caption, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I love people comment on my captions, and I always write back because, again, I just feel that reader connection is the most important thing. I have a couple of books. I would, and everything's about your budget, so I would find one local to you, and put out your table and get to know people. It's a great way to build your newsletter too, which is important because they're already interested in you because maybe you had a conversation, and then if you can keep showing up in their inbox and they go, oh my gosh, I met her and she's so much fun, then that might be a sale down the road for you. If it's not in your budget, then obviously it does come down to that. But I think it's a great way. You also get to network with other authors, so you don't know where those opportunities could lead you. Maybe it's a group project you get to work on, or an anthology, or that you get to meet their editor or their agent. You just don't know. So getting out there is really a good thing to do.
I spoke to a lot of authors in Denver, and I was really impressed by you.
Oh, thank you.
Because, excuse me, because you were ready. It was as if you had a pitch for the readers. Not agents, but pitch for the readers. Yeah. So you knew exactly what you wrote. You knew what to say, within like 10 seconds in 2 sentences.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Because readers are busy visiting different tables and meeting different authors. So they have limited time as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't think it's something that authors think about. They think about a pitch only for agents. But that's when I talked to you, that's when I realized, oh, wow, it's really helpful to have something ready for your fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Something that it helps you as the author, especially if you are a little uncomfortable talking to people, if you have an idea about what you're going to say. So it's that elevator pitch, and you can practice that with friends or other authors. Again, critique partners, I can't stress enough how important those are. And you can, because everything is a learning process. But the other thing that authors can keep in mind is it's always about your reader. Always about them. What do they need? What do you give to them? So, get your elevator pitch ready.
That is a very helpful and unique advice. Now, where do people find you? Do you have a Facebook group? Or?
Yeah, I have a Facebook group called Stacey's Novel Family, and we have a ton of fun there. It's very interactive, and I love those people. They're amazing, and it's a great group. So I have that. I'm on Instagram, and I have a newsletter and a website. So plenty of places to find.
And what's your website called?
StaceyWilk.com.
Oh,
EY.
Nice and simple. EY.
EY.
People follow Stacey on Instagram, Facebook, stalker.
Yes.
Tell her how great she is.
Oh, thank you.
Buy her books, read her books.
Thank you.
And her Facebook group is called Stacey's Novel Family.
Yep, you got
Stacey's Reading.
Yep, Stacey's Novel.
Stacey's Novel Family.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I will make sure I put all the links at the bottom as well below the video. And check out her new hot release, Harlan Unleashed.
Yeah, you got it.
Harlan Unleashed, about bunch of sexy dudes doing bunch of sexy stuff with sexy women,
Absolutely.
escaping the volcano, and homicidal maniacs. So
exactly.
Don't get much better
it's got
than
everything you need.
Yeah. Check her out, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Stacey.
Thank you so
for
much
taking
for
the
having
time.
me.
I appreciate
I'm so
it.
flattered. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.